All right, guys. So here we will be continuing on our notes about transversals. Okay, so we talked about transversals when I was in class yesterday. Okay, these are the notes that we took. Okay, so if you weren't here, make sure you get the notes from someone. And you should, at the beginning of class today, have finished this example 3 and example 4 if you had not already. Okay, example 4 is a little tricky because there's two different transversals going on, right? We have this line A is cutting across these two lines here, makes it a transversal. And we also have this line B cutting across these two lines, okay? But everything still stands. All of our angle pairs are still what we talked about. We have corresponding angles that are like in the same spot. We have alternate exterior angles when they're exterior angles but on opposite sides of the transversal. We have alternate interior, same thing here. And then we also have consecutive interior, which would be this 8 and 14, or consecutive exterior, which would be this 5 and 15 here. Okay, so that all holds true. You might come across a question that asks you, well, what about this angle pair where you have two random angles like this one here and this 15? Well, these are on two separate transversals, okay? So we don't really have any type of relationship that describes these two, right? We can only talk about angles that are on the same transversal, okay? So hopefully that wasn't too tough for you. The sub does have answer keys for this. So if you need to check your answers, you can ask the sub there. Let's move on to our notes here on the second page. Okay, so parallel lines and transversals. Okay, so we talked about what a transversal is up here, right? Just a line cutting across two other lines. But here when we look at when our two lines that are transversal is cutting across here, when those lines are parallel, it tells us a lot of really good information about the angle pairs that we just learned. So our corresponding angles, our consecutive interior, alternate exterior, those types of things. Suddenly we have more information that we can use because these lines are parallel. Okay? So let's take a look at what that is. So corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, and you should remember congruent means the same angle, right? The measure of the angles are equal to each other. The angles are congruent. Okay, alternate exterior angles are also congruent. Alternate, did I say interior, exterior? Alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles also congruent. Okay, consecutive interior angles, these are supplementary. And what is supplementary again? Well, that means that they add up to 180 degrees. Supplementary means they add up to 180 degrees. So if we have two angles that are consecutive interior angles, so they're on the same side of the transversal and they're interior angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So that gives us some more information about those. Consecutive exterior angles, also supplementary. Okay, and remember, this only applies if your two lines that you're looking at are parallel, and we denote that by these little arrows here. Okay, so only if these two lines are parallel can we say that these are congruent, these angle pairs are either congruent or supplementary. If we're looking at something like we did up here, we don't know any information about what these angle pairs are. And you can see from here that angle 1 and angle 3, even though they're corresponding angles, they're obviously not the same measure in angle, okay? And that's because the lines P and Q are not parallel here. But you can see here, this corresponding angle 1 and 5, they look like they could be congruent. And now we know for sure, because these lines are parallel, that they are indeed congruent here. Okay, so this little, for example, 1 here is asking us to find these angle pairs, angle 3 and angle 5, identify the pair as either congruent or supplementary. Okay, and give your reasoning. So what I recommend for this is you just tell me what type of classification these are. Are these corresponding angles? Are they consecutive interior angles? What? And then from that, also tell me, are they congruent or supplementary? So let's take a look at the first couple together. So angle 3 and angle 5. These are interior angles. They're in between the two lines cut by the transversal, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So we're going to call these alternate interior. Okay, and are they congruent or supplementary? Well, let's look up here. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, let's look at angle 1 and angle 8. So angle 1 here, angle 8, they are on the same side of the transversal, but they're both exterior angles. Okay, so I would say that these are consecutive exterior. And here, consecutive exterior, these are going to be supplementary. Okay, so I will leave it to you to finish the rest of that problem here. And now let's look at this example 2. I might just do this whole example 2 because this is a pretty good one. You have lots of extra practice down here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, sorry, I'm just making sure we're on the right thing. All right, so if the measure of angle 1 is 65 degrees, find each measure. Well, we only know one angle. Can we really find the rest of them? Well, let's take a look. If the measure of angle 1 is 65 degrees, so we know that this is 65 degrees. Okay, so not only are we going to be using this corresponding angles, alternate exterior, alternate interior, consecutive interior, exterior, but we're also going to use what we know about other angle pairs, like just regular supplement, or let's say instead of supplementary, let's say linear pairs. Okay, a linear pair is supplementary. Okay, and they also are on the same line. So angle 1 and angle 2 here are supplementary. We also know vertical angles are congruent. And vertical angles are those that are opposite each other, the vertex, like 1 and 2. Those are equal to each other. Okay, so we're going to also use this knowledge here to find the rest of it. Okay, so I'm going to find this little group right here of 4 angles first, and then I'll move down to 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so if I know that angle 1 is 65 degrees, the vertical angle here, angle 3, must also be 65 degrees because they're vertical angles and we know that those are congruent. Okay, so angle 3 is also 65 degrees. Oh, am I supposed to? Oh, and give your reasoning. Okay, well, my reasoning here is that it's vertical to angle 1. Okay. Let's look. So now we know that this is 65 degrees. Angle 2 here. Well, we know that these two are on a straight line here. These are a linear pair. They must be supplementary. Okay, so we need 180 minus 65. That is going to leave us with 115. Okay, so this is 115 degrees. And we know that our reasoning is this is a linear pair with angle 1. Okay, we know that linear pairs, they're on the same line together. Okay, and we know that they are supplementary. Okay, and then angle 4 is vertical to angle 2, so we know this is also 115 degrees. 115 degrees vertical to angle 2, and that's the first 4 up there right away. Okay, so how can we use what we know up here to tackle any of these angles down here? Well, there's several ways, right? Now that we know all 4 of these angles, we can look at corresponding angles. We can look at alternate interior, alternate exterior, okay? And we can use any of the angles, 1, 2, 3, or 4. We can use that information to find to find the angles for the other one. So that, I mean, this could be in any order using anything that you want. So I like corresponding angles. So I'm going to say angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. And we know from up here, corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, so angle 1 and angle 5 are congruent. That means that angle 5 is also 65 degrees. And I'm going to write corresponding with angle 1. Let's see, angle 6. So I could say angle 6 is corresponding with angle 2. I could say, so that makes it 115 degrees. I could say angle 6 is a linear pair with angle 5, which would make it 115 degrees. I could say angle 6 is consecutive interior with angle 3, makes them supplementary, also 115 degrees. Okay, so it really doesn't matter which way. Oh no, did my pen die? It really doesn't matter which way, which angle pair you choose, because they all should give you the correct number. Okay, so I'm just gonna say linear pair with angle, what is it, 5? Yeah, with angle 5. 7, right? 7 here is consecutive exterior with 15. It's corresponding with angle 3. It's alternate exterior with angle 1. It's vertical to angle 5. All of these things will tell you that it's going to be 65 degrees. Okay, so I'm just going to say here consecutive exterior means with 2 means it's supplementary. So we know that. So I'm just going to say consecutive exterior with angle 2, was it? 2, okay? And the last one, 8, let's just say this is vertical from 6, also 115 degrees, vertical with angle 6, okay? So all of these measures here should be the same as what I have, but all of your reasonings, they could be totally different. As long as they're correct, it could be whatever you want it to be, whatever angle pair you choose to kind of highlight there or to use, okay? And I believe the rest of these you should be equipped to do. So go ahead and finish these on your own, and that should be the end of your notes packet. We just have more worksheets to do.